Spiritual Awakening, 23 Major Signs and Symptoms. Going through a spiritual awakening is one of the most confusing, lonely, alienating, but also supremely beautiful experiences in life. Put simply, spiritual awakenings mark the beginning of your initiation on the spiritual path. Without experiencing a spiritual awakening, we go through life pursuing the emptiness of money, fame, power, and respect in an attempt to find happiness. The unsettling and equally beautiful thing about spiritual awakenings is that they occur at the least expected times. There is no way you can plan for them. They lurch into your life and shake everything up like tornadoes. But the hidden gift buried deep within them is that they occur at the precise time that you need them the most. Spiritual awakenings are the soul's cry for freedom. Listen to its call and your life will be transformed into something meaningful and significant. Refuse its call and your life will be like a graveyard. If you have experienced a spiritual awakening, you've come to see through the lies and illusions of this world. Deep in your soul, you realize that nothing external has ever and can ever bring you true happiness or fulfillment. This profound realization leaves you craving for something richer, more fulfilling, and something that will make you feel whole once again. If you're looking for answers, if you're thirsting for a direction in life, this page, this recording will share with you everything you need to know. Within this recording, you will find all the possible spiritual resources you need for the beginning of your journey, including what spiritual awakening is, common spiritual awakening symptoms, and much more. If you feel that this recording may help a friend or family member close to you, please share it and pass along this vital information. What is a spiritual awakening? What is the meaning of spiritual awakening? When we undergo a spiritual awakening, also known as spiritual ascension, we literally wake up from the dreamlike reality of ego-centered living. We begin to question our old beliefs, habits, and social conditioning, and see that there is much more to life and ourselves than what we have been taught. It is common to ask questions such as, who am I? What is the purpose of my life? What happens after death? Why do good people suffer? And other questions that examine the fundamental nature of life and reality during your awakening. Spiritual awakenings stir the deepest and most significant questions within us that we have been putting off asking or have been too scared to touch. If you've experienced a spiritual awakening, you might crave to find who or what you truly are deep down, as well as what the meaning of your life is and whether there is a higher state of being. Searching for God or for the divine is a common desire during this experience. My experience with the spiritual awakening process. I experienced the beginnings of my spiritual awakening in 2010. At that time, I was deeply indoctrinated into a world of fundamentalist religious teachings in the Christian sect I was born into. After almost 2 decades believing in the hellfire and brimstone teachings I was fed every week, something began to suddenly eat away at me. I began to doubt, question, and sense that there was way more to life than my indoctrinated outlook, and I felt deeply lost and alone. I had no one outside of the church that I felt comfortable talking to about my feelings. I had no true friends to confide in, and my family didn't understand or didn't want to. As a result, I felt so alienated and suffocated with loneliness that I developed depression, health issues, OCD, and chronic anxiety, the latter lasting for many years. Like Neo in the movie The Matrix, I was being offered the red and blue pill. Should I continue taking the blue pill and remain in my comfortable ignorance? Or should I take the red pill and be free, but experience the pain of waking up? Long story short, I chose the red pill. It wasn't easy at first. I would often carry the unshakable sensation that I was falling endlessly through a void of darkness. the dark night of the soul descended quickly upon me and I felt abandoned by life and betrayed by those closest to me, ultimately, I had no fucking idea what was happening and thought for sure that I was losing it, or that I would burn in hell for eternity. But in the end, going through this process of spiritual awakening was worth all the pain and sacrifice. No regrets. The amount of growth, love, transformation, and freedom that I've experienced since choosing the red pill has been totally mind-blowing, life-changing, and profound. Why did your spiritual awakening happen? So why do spiritual awakenings happen in the first place? Spiritual awakenings happen as a natural result of your soul evolving, expanding, and maturing. Just as everything in life grows, so too does our connection with our souls. As our soul organically matures and ripens, we find it more effortless to access the field of pure consciousness that some call spirit, source, or non-dual awareness, which is our original home and true nature that is already and always here. Once we begin to see and truly feel that who we really are goes beyond thought, we begin to drop ego identification, returning back to our birthless and deathless true nature as life itself. It is then that we taste the true and deep joy, peace, love, and freedom that we have always wanted but have misguidedly sought in the material world and realm of thought. While the spiritual awakening process can feel painful and disturbing at first, it ultimately helps you to break through illusion and find out who you truly are. The sensation that your life doesn't make sense anymore is the product of having all of your former beliefs, desires, and paradigms challenged and often disproven. This is traumatic, but a necessary part of your expansion. What triggers the spiritual awakening process? You might be curious to know what activates a spiritual awakening. The answer is that innumerable circumstances can trigger this process. There really is no one answer. Spiritual awakenings can happen at any moment or period in your life. They can be spontaneous, but they can also be triggered by major life changes, illnesses, tragedies, and traumas such as life-threatening illnesses, car accidents, divorces, war, midlife crises, and much more. Awakening can also happen due to your temperament. For instance, you might be a naturally contemplative person or a sensitive empath who is by nature particularly receptive to seeing beneath the surface of life. Furthermore, for some people, spiritual awakenings are even triggered by deep but challenging soulmate or karmic relationships. Generally speaking, the spiritual awakening process happens in conjunction with an experience known as the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul and awakening. If you're highly sensitive to the suffering of others and are a deep thinker by nature, it is possible that you have gone through or are currently going through a dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is a period in life when we feel completely cut off from God or the divine. The more aware you become of your disconnection from the divine, the more chances you have of experiencing a dark night of the soul. Going through a dark night of the soul is profoundly entwined with the process of spiritual awakening. Before seeing the light, i.e. spiritually awakening, we must walk through the valley of the shadow of death in order to prepare our minds and hearts for the expansion of consciousness. Just think about the analogy of getting dressed. In order to put on new clothes, you must take off the old ones. And that, in a nutshell, is essentially what the dark night of the soul is about. The old must be stripped away in order to make way for the new. This means that the suffering you experience during the dark night of the soul is for a purpose, and that is the destruction of the old, for example, outdated beliefs, identities, and habits, to pave way for fresh ways of being. This life is a cycle of birth and death. As such, going through the dark night is not a pretty or manicured experience. At its core, it's raw and primal and perhaps the most difficult experience known to humanity. Everything is stripped away from you. There is no light, no clarity, and no peace. But please know that it is a stage, and like everything in life, it will naturally fade. There are ways of speeding up the dark night, like doing inner work or soul work, which we have gone into depth on LonerWolf about. I have gone through a bleak and chaotic dark night of the soul, and let me tell you, inner work and soul work were vital for my sanity. It's kind of like the difference between letting your old clothes just fall off you, which is a long, unhygienic and tiresome process, or actively pulling them off and throwing them to the wind yourself. However, please note that sometimes doing any kind of work, internal or external, can feel taxing and quite simply impossible during the dark night. Sometimes rest and withdrawal are what we need the most, and that is perfectly normal, healthy and fine. Signs you might be experiencing a dark night of the soul along with a spiritual awakening include the following. You feel isolated from everything, including yourself, others, and life in general. You feel abandoned by God, the universe, or the divine. Your mood is almost always low and melancholic. You're lost and don't know which direction is right. You feel despair and horror when observing the world. You feel a sense of existential dread. You feel deep tiredness in your bones. You lack the motivation to keep doing what you used to. You've lost interest in most things. You keep pondering the deep questions of life. For example, what is the purpose? You feel like you don't belong on this planet. This list is not exhaustive, so keep in mind you might be experiencing signs that aren't included here. You can take our free Dark Night of the Soul test on LonerWolf if you need more clarification. 7 Spiritual Awakening Stages. The spiritual awakening process is complex, multi-layered, and different for everyone. In reality, it cannot be fit into neat categories. However, with that being said, it is helpful to have a kind of map to locate where you're at right now. The following stages are general. They define the overall flow of the spiritual awakening process. Stage 1. Unhappiness, despondency, and feeling lost. In this stage, you experience the aforementioned dark night of the soul. This is a time of confusion, disconnection, alienation, depression, and great unhappiness with life. You are searching for something, but you don't know quite what. There is a great looming emptiness inside of you. This stage either emerges spontaneously or due to a life crisis such as a breakup, a divorce, death, trauma, illness, or a major life change. Stage 2. Shifting perspectives. You start to perceive reality in a totally different way. In this stage, you start seeing through the lies and delusions propagated by society. You feel unhappy with life, disturbed by the suffering you see, and hopeless to the ills of the world. You no longer see life as you once did in your previous state of complacent unawareness. Stage 3. Seeking answers and meaning. There must be a point to all this, right? In this stage, you are asking all the deep questions. You are in search of who you truly are, your spiritual destiny, and the meaning of life itself. You will start dabbling in different metaphysical, self-help, and esoteric fields in the search for answers and truth. Your focus is on beginning your spiritual search. Stage 4. Finding answers and experiencing breakthroughs. After a lot of soul searching, you'll find a few teachers, practices, or belief systems that ease your existential suffering. Beware, a lot of spiritual bypassing can occur in this stage. You'll feel a sense of expansion as old patterns dissolve and your true nature begins to emerge. You may have a number of mystical experiences or brief moments of satori, or spiritual enlightenment, that give you a glimpse into the ultimate nature of reality. This is a time of joy, hope, connection, and awe. Stage 5. Disillusionment and feeling lost again. Life is about movement. With the spiritual awakening process, there is always an ebb and a flow. In this stage, you become bored and tired of your spiritual teachers or practices. You may become disillusioned by the faux spiritual BS out there and crave for something deeper. You might have even experienced long periods of connection with the divine only to become apparently separated again. This is normal. Understandably, you'll feel disturbed and deeply upset by this experience. Additionally, while you may have experienced many mental, emotional, and spiritual breakthroughs, they might feel superficial. You crave authenticity and for deep spirituality that permeates your life and transforms every part of you. The unhappiness and stagnation you feel will motivate you to go and search for more. Stage 6, deeper inner work and soul work. In this stage, you're not interested in dabbling in feel-good spiritual philosophies or surface practices anymore. The abiding pain you feel inside motivates you to do deep inner work and soul work. You may become a serious student of meditation, mindfulness, non-duality, inner child work, shadow work, body work, or various other transpersonal philosophies. Stage 7, integration, expansion, and joy. Integration means taking the spiritual lessons you've learned from your inner work and soul work and applying them to your daily life. Integration happens both naturally and consciously as a habit in deep spiritual practice. In this stage, you'll experience the most profound and long-lasting changes deep within. Many people experience prolonged mystical experiences and periods of unity with the divine in the integration phase. Remember that enlightenment or full self-realization is never guaranteed. We can strive for it, but it is ultimately a gift from life itself, who we ultimately are. Nevertheless, profound peace, love, and joy emerge and are felt in this stage. You may feel ready to be a spiritual helper of some kind and pass on your insight to others. Life will become less about you and more about we. You may undergo an energetic shift in awareness, and you may start to experience life from an undivided point of view. Above all else, you will feel connected, at peace with yourself, and deeply aligned with life. Note: it is common to move back and forth between these spiritual awakening stages. Remember that this is not a linear process. You cannot just move from A to B to C. This is a complex and messy path, so it's perfectly fine if it doesn't look like what I've described. Your spiritual awakening process is unique to you, but I do hope that this analysis has helped in some way to gain your bearings. 23 Spiritual Awakening Signs and Symptoms. There are many spiritual awakening symptoms. In fact, spiritual awakening symptoms are not only emotional but also psychological and even physical. Here are 23 of the most common symptoms out there. See how many you can identify with. 1. You feel as though your life is false. 2. You crave for meaning and purpose. 3. You begin asking deep questions like, who am I? 4. You realize that a lot of what you've been taught is a lie. 5. You feel completely lost and alone. 6. You see through the illusions of society. 7. You see how unhappy most people are. 8. You want to purge your life. 9. You begin experiencing deep empathy and compassion. 10. You desire to be alone. 11. Conversations seem shallow. 12. You want to quit your job. 13. You thirst for authenticity and truth. 14. You become aware of your old negative habits. 15. You experience anxiety or depression. 16. You become more sensitive. 17. You want to make the world a better place. 18. You deeply want to understand who you are. 19. Your intuition is heightened. 20. More synchronicity. 21. You feel more wonder, love, and curiosity. 22. You have glimpses into your true nature. 23. You see that we are all one. I'll now expand on these signs so that you can understand them better. Number 1, you feel as though your life is false. Everything that you have believed, built, and worked towards seems to be false. Your life doesn't feel as though it's your own. You no longer feel like yourself. Nearly everything you once enjoyed no longer brings you meaning or satisfaction. Number 2, you crave for meaning and purpose. You deeply desire to find the meaning of your life. You have no idea what your purpose is, but you want to find it desperately. There's a sense that something is missing inside of you, like a part of your soul. Number 3, you begin asking deep questions. Questions such as, who am I? What's the purpose of life? What happens after we die? Why do people suffer? Arise. You begin thinking more philosophically. Such profound thoughts may greatly disturb you as you don't know the answers. Number 4, you realize that a lot of what you've been taught is a lie. You start to see how many beliefs, values, and feelings are not actually your own, but other people's or inherited from your culture. You are growing in self-awareness. Number 5, you feel completely lost and alone. Nothing in your life seems to make sense anymore. You feel as though you're wandering through an endless wilderness. As a vagabond or lone wolf, you feel completely alone and cut off from people. You struggle to relate to those you once felt close to, for example, your friends, work colleagues, and family members. Number 6, you see through the illusions of society. Materialism, success, and profit no longer mean anything to you. You start feeling as though you're a cog in the machine of society. Number 7, you see how unhappy most people are. You awaken to the unhappiness and suffering of others. You may start to explore activism or read about the human condition. It is tormenting for you to realize how much pain there is in the world. Number 8, you want to purge your life. You're sick and tired of feeling stranded, depressed, and hopeless. Suddenly you feel the need to simplify and declutter your life. This could mean cutting ties with toxic people, reassessing your habits, donating old things, relocating to a new job or place to live, or even giving away most of what you own. Wanting to purge your life doesn't always happen externally, but it is a deeply felt internal craving that is also manifest as the desire to experience some level of internal purification. Number 9, you begin experiencing deep empathy and compassion. As you start paying more attention to the many hardships faced by humanity and nature alike, you develop more compassion. Your inherent empathy is awakened, and you may find it hard to cope with the intensity of your feelings. This is a pivotal point in your inner transformation. You either numb the pain you feel with addictions, or you find healthy ways to accept and express your emotions. Number 10, you desire to be alone. You crave solitude. Whereas once you may have been extroverted, now you experience the introverted side of your nature. You'd spend a lot of time alone, introspecting and enjoying the silence. At every cost, you try to reduce social contact. At this point, you may lose touch with many old friends and even family members. Number 11, conversations seem shallow. When you do talk to people, you feel an acute sense of separation. You realize that very few people are comfortable with talking about deep and meaningful topics. In conversations, you feel restless and irritated by the small talk. You silently scream, "Can't anyone wake up and realize what is happening?" Your distaste for frivolous chit-chat draws you more into solitude. You may become a lone wolf or rebellious free spirit. Number 12, you want to quit your job. Even though you worked for years getting your degree, establishing your career and climbing the ranks, you feel nothing but emptiness. Your job no longer provides you the sense of fulfillment that you need. You desperately crave for more. Number 13, you thirst for authenticity and truth. Being true to yourself becomes top priority. You hate faking and putting on the old mask that you used to wear. You want to be completely authentic. pretense makes you feel sick and disgusted. Number 14, you become aware of your old negative habits. You are painfully aware of your flaws and destructive habits. Within you arises a strong urge to wipe the slate clean and start over. Number 15, you experience anxiety and/or depression. You may go through deep bouts of existential depression or persistent anxiety. The shock of plunging into your awakening leaves you feeling unstable. You may be misdiagnosed with a mental illness. Uncertainty and fear follow you around everywhere. Number 16, you become more sensitive. Everything impacts you more. You feel the energy of others more strongly, the pain of your loved ones more intensely, and the difficulties in your life deeper than ever before. At the same time, you feel a gloriously enhanced connection with animals and nature. You start feeling more at home within the natural world rather than the man-made world. Number 17, you want to make the world a better place. When all is said and done, you want to leave the world a better place. You start thinking big picture. This longing to make a real impact translates to actively helping others or finding a life purpose that aligns with this desire. Number 18, you deeply want to understand who you are. Endless questions arise about your identity and your life. For example, who am I? Why was I born? What am I here to do? What is the purpose of my existence? As a result, you begin reading many self-help books and spiritual texts. No wonder you ended up here. Number 19, your intuition is heightened. Gradually, you begin to listen to the still, small voice within. You allow it to guide your decisions, and you may become more receptive to the messages of your unconscious mind through dreams, physical sensations, and practices like journaling or meditation. You may even come in contact with your spirit guides, spirit animal, or other spiritual helpers. Eventually, you start to uncover your hidden gifts and talents thanks to learning how to trust your intuition. Number 20, more synchronicity. You start becoming conscious of the many signs and omens that life brings to you. Life becomes much more receptive and interactive with you. Serendipity and déjà vu increase. You may even undergo numerous mystical experiences. Number 21. You feel more wonder, love, and curiosity. The smallest things start to bring you joy and bliss. A falling leaf, a spider's web, a child's laughter, a puddle. Life is no longer ignored. It is seen as magical, amazing, and beautiful. As the barriers of the ego break down, you begin to love other people without expectations or conditions. This includes self-love. You lose interest in drama, conflict, and anything that perpetuates hatred. Number 22, you have glimpses into your true nature. The deeper you turn inwards, the more you begin to discover that who you truly are goes beyond all thought, belief, idea, memory, or mental construct. As the layers of the ego and the blockages that obscure your inner light begin to dissolve within the light of awareness, you begin to glimpse your true eternal nature. Shifting out of the personal ego and witnessing life from the seat of divine consciousness is known as ego death, self-realization, or enlightenment, and such an experience can be temporary or a permanent shift. 23. You see that we are all one. As your awakening process matures and ripens, you begin to integrate the realization that who you truly are is always and already here as spirit, consciousness, or life itself. You see that we are all one, we are all expressions of the same divine source, and that we have never been separate from this reality. The mind has only believed that to be the case. As you begin to drop identification with thought, realize that the separate self isn't ultimately true, and surrender back into the now, you find the peace, love, and freedom you have always longed for. You find home at last, right here, right now. Physical spiritual awakening symptoms. Physical signs obviously differ for everyone. Here are a few symptoms that I have observed within myself and many others who have begun the spiritual awakening process. Amplification of senses. For example, your sight, hearing, taste, touch, or smell become intensified. You may even discover that you're a highly sensitive person. You discover food intolerances that you never seemed to have before or perhaps weren't paying attention to, like allergies to wheat, nuts, legumes, soy, spices, and so on. Change sleeping patterns. For example, you might sleep more or experience more disruptive sleep, often causing insomnia. Vivid dreams. Your dreams become scary, bizarre, or intense. Dizziness. Feeling lightheaded as a result of being ungrounded during the day comes from a crown chakra that is too open and overly functioning. Weight change, either gaining or losing a lot of weight. Changed eating habits. What you once liked eating no longer appeals to you. Also, you may crave to experiment with other foods that you've never tried or liked. Fluctuations in energy. Feeling less energized than you used to. Decreased or increased sex drive. Decreased immune function and more illness as a result. It is uncommon to experience all of these physical spiritual awakening symptoms at once. One or two is more likely. If you have noticed a rapid change in your health during this period, it might be due to the drastic change in your mind-body-soul connection. If no logical everyday reason can be found, such as prior illness, family stress, injury, relationship meltdown, etc., don't rule out a more metaphysical explanation. If you'd like to confirm that you're going through a spiritual awakening, feel free to take our free spiritual awakening test on LonerWolf. 3 spiritual awakening myths. There's a lot of information out there on the internet about spiritual awakening symptoms, what spiritual awakening actually is, and so forth. As someone who has undergone an awakening process and guided many others on their spiritual journeys, here are some of the top spiritual awakening myths out there to look out for. Myth 1. Once you spiritually awaken, you become instantly enlightened. The reality. Enlightenment for most people happens gradually in waves. We go through layers and cycles of shedding the past and growing into our new skin. In some rare cases, enlightenment or union with our true nature happens just like that, out of the blue with no preparation. But the awakening process is typically a slow and steady process of spiritual alchemy for the vast majority of people. Myth 2. Being spiritually awake means always experiencing love, light, and bliss. The reality. Yes, we might go through periods of love, light, and bliss, but these experiences are temporary, they come and go. It's unrealistic to expect ourselves to only ever experience one kind of state, as we are multifaceted beings, and that's okay. Myth 3. Only a rare and elite variety of people experience awakening symptoms. The reality. You'd be surprised how many people have gone through spiritual awakenings. It's not an experience that's reserved for the elevated, rich, or special people. It can happen to literally anyone in any circumstance. Spiritual Awakening Q&A. Here are the answers to some commonly asked questions. Question: why does spiritual awakening happen? Answer: there are many reasons why the spiritual awakening process happens. Major life changes, tragedies, losses, health crises, marriage, divorces, and other milestones can often trigger a new outlook on life. Whatever the case, spiritual awakenings occur when the soul is ready to surrender into the absolute, and that occurs at different moments for everyone, if it happens at all. Question: how long does a spiritual awakening last? Answer: the spiritual awakening process is said to be a lifelong journey. Once it begins, it never ends. However, the intensity of awakening varies, and often we go through quiet and calm periods, followed by chaotic and intense periods of change. It's important that we honor this ebb and flow of transformation, seeing it as a vibrant and ever-flowing journey, not a static and one-off destination. Question: what do we do after a spiritual awakening? Answer: after undergoing a spiritual awakening, it's important that you explore all the different spiritual paths available to you. Go with your heart and instincts and choose a path that calls to your deepest needs. It's also crucial to practice some form of inner work and also soul work while walking your own path to ensure that you're evolving, staying grounded, and healing inner wounds that may sabotage your progress. Question: why did I have a spiritual awakening? Answer: there are many reasons why you may have had a spiritual awakening. We know that awakenings are triggered by big life changes, breakdowns, breakthroughs, and traumatic situations. But why you had a spiritual awakening is simple. Life decided you were ready to finally wake up. Spiritual awakening and inner work. Spiritual awakenings mark the beginning of our spiritual paths. But you might be asking, what do I do now? If you need more spiritual guidance, consider LonerWolf as your personal guide that is available 24/7. We have hundreds of articles that can help you, but where to start? We recommend beginning with something called inner work. Inner work is a psychological and spiritual practice of diving deep into your inner self for the purposes of self-exploration, self-understanding, spiritual healing, and transformation. It helps to deepen and mature your process of spiritual awakening. We write a lot about how to do inner work on LonerWolf. You can find the main resources to help you linked in the description. There are many other practices that can help you to start your inner work, some powerful examples being breath work and journaling every day. The key is to find what empowers and supports you. Spiritual Awakening Book. Does your spiritual awakening make you feel lost, overwhelmed, and alone in this world? We wrote the Spiritual Awakening process to help newly awakened people gain the knowledge and tools necessary for finding peace, hope, clarity, and deep inner healing. In the Spiritual Awakening process, we walk you through the 10 stages of reconnecting with the loving and eternally wise place within you, known as your soul. This book is available on our website and also on Amazon, and you can find it linked in the description. From the bottom of my heart, I hope this article has helped to support you in some way during your process of awakening. Please know that you're not alone, you're not going crazy, and we're here to help and support you. In fact, the entirety of our work it's our mission and our purpose in life. May your spiritual awakening journey be blessed in every possible way. Thank you so much for listening. Hey wild souls, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this recording. If you enjoyed it and if you benefited from it, you're more than welcome to donate, and there's a donate link in the description. We also have a beautiful selection of journals, ebooks, bundles, and other resources that can help you on your spiritual awakening journey, and you can also find a link to that linked in the description. You can also support our work by just simply giving this recording a like, sharing it with someone who you feel might benefit from this information and knowledge. And if you feel like leaving a comment and sharing what your spiritual awakening journey has been like, that would be amazing. We so enjoy reading what you have to share and what you've been through, what you've experienced, the wisdom that you've gained. And we feel like it kind of creates like a community where people can learn and grow from each other. So we'd really appreciate that if you could leave a comment. Okay, thank you so much for listening and take care. Bye.